would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Trustee Kwasniewski? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, this evening, we're starting with trustee Snagowski.
Here.
Stapleton.
Here.
Kittredge.
Here.
Kwasniewski.
Here.
Maher. McClafferty.
Here.
Okay, great. Before we get into the consent agenda, we need to amend the consent agenda to remove Resolution F for the final plat for 337-339 River Street. I need a motion to amend the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Snagowski, seconded by trustee Kwasniewski.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Just a quick update on that item. We received word from the property owner that the plat wasn't exactly where it needed to be. The line needed to be adjusted. We thought the board needed to see that before being presented for approval. So that'll move to the July village board meeting at the end of July. So no issues in the delay. He'll be able to move forward and do some pre-planning, but that item has been removed and it'll be presented in July.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Roll call on that, please.
Okay, Snagowski.
Yes.
Stapleton.
Yes.
Kittredge.
Yes.
Kwasniewski.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
McClafferty.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, on the consent agenda, we have the approval of minutes for the June 3rd Committee of Whole meeting. We have the Village Board meeting minutes from June 10th. We have the June 17th Village Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. We also have approval of disbursements. An ordinance amending Lamont Municipal Code, Chapter 5.04 liquor licenses, creating Class A31 liquor license. Also, a resolution approving a final plat of subdivision for a single-family attached residential subdivision located at the southeast intersection of 127th Street and Rolling Meadows Drive in Lamont, Illinois, which is referred to as Phase 4 of Rolling Meadows. And lastly, a resolution authorizing 2018 MFT maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code. Can we have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Stapleton, seconded by trustee McClafferty. Any questions or comments?
Mayor, I got a couple questions. On
Yes.
the disbursements. I guess this one is for Ralph on Otis Elevator for the maintenance. Is that a continuous maintenance now? Were you able to make that deal or?
Yes, that's a contracted service now.
Okay, can we get just a copy of that contract? I'd just like to see what's on that, because I know you were working on it. And okay, that's one. And number two is on the aerators for the canal. Is that a maintenance-free thing, or is that an ongoing?
Well, it's kind of a trial thing right now
Okay.
because we are having some issues with those aerators.
These current ones, the new
Yes.
ones? Okay.
Yes, so that's a trial.
So again, if we could see the
So,
contract
yes,
on that?
absolutely.
And then the last one, well, I got two actually. The TPI building code, the difference between their inspections and where our code enforcement takes over, because I saw we had some other comments. I was gone last week, but I saw. So I just want to know, what's the line of distinction between their inspections and our code enforcement inspections? Where do we transfer the responsibility? So,
Yeah,
again, that's something we can talk about later, but if
Yeah.
there's a clear defined line on those two things.
no, we can get a better breakdown. I mean, typically TPI, that happens at occupancy of the building permit after, when the facility's being constructed, they'll do inspections, and then at occupancy, it's our building permit process. TPI will inspect. I think we were talking about at our last committee, the whole was more property maintenance, so it's after the fact. So once there's occupancy given on a property, and the property's in use, then our code enforcement takes over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then lastly, on the sign machine, Ralph, that one's almost a 20 grand item, same thing. What's maintenance and how long is that? And,
I will get all three.
you know, if we just see what's in the contract. Unfortunately, I watch all the Queen's horses and that's brought up a few things, so, okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Rick. Okay, anyone else? Roll call, please.
Snagowski.
Yes.
Stapleton.
Yes.
Kittredge.
Yes.
Kwasniewski.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
McClafferty.
Yes.
Okay, motion approved. Okay, next up is the mayor's report. We have several announcements, and then we're going to follow that up with our mayor's Drive for Charity. I know we have several participants here, and looking forward to handing out those checks. Then lastly, we will follow that up with audience participation. So bear with me here on the mayor's mention of announcements. Our farmers market, Tuesdays on Talcott, is tomorrow and every Tuesday through October from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Talcott parking lot where Bottles and Pollyanna are located. There's a great variety of participants this year, and you can visit our website at lamont.il.us/farmers market for more information. Also, we have the Lamont Legends Cruise Night is on Wednesday, June 26th from 6 to 9 p.m. in the downtown Lamont. Please visit myhcpa.com for more information. Again, hopefully the weather holds out for both of these events. Next Tuesday on July 2nd from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., the Lamont Park District will pay tribute to our local veterans during their Stars and Stripes Veterans Tribute at Legion Park. Please visit lamontparkdistrict.org for more information on this event. And also, on Wednesday, July 3rd, from 4 to 10 p.m., the Lamont Park District is hosting the annual Independence Day Extravaganza at Centennial Park. There will be food, entertainment, music, and more. The fireworks will start around 9:30 p.m., so again, visit their website. Obviously, this is always a great turnout. We get anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 people. It's a great way to again hook up with your neighbors and friends and spend time with your family. Also, on Tuesday, July 9th at Northview Park is Movies in the Park starting at 7 p.m. with Mary Poppins. This is a free event, and you can visit the Park District website for more information. Also, on Saturday, July 13th, Village of Lamont is hosting our 29th Annual Lamont Heritage Fest from 4 to 11 p.m. in the historic downtown Lamont. There will be food, craft vendors, an entire kids' entertainment area, including bingo and so much more. The main stage will start out with local entertainment, followed by Johnny Rustler and the Beach Bum Band from 5:30 to 8 p.m. And an all-time favorite, Infinity, will play from 8:30 to 11:30 p.m. Please visit the website, lamontil./Heritage Fest for more detailed information. Again, we're all looking forward to that. Also, on Monday, July 15th, the Lamont Public Library will host a free summertime Reads event from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Virginia Reed Park for all ages with a caregiver. Treats and games will follow the fun and interactive story. Again, for more information, visit the lamontlibrary.org website. Moving on, we have 3 great opportunities for volunteers in the community. Again, this is, these groups are very important to us. We always respect and want all resident feedback, and this is very important to us on all our projects as well as our planning and zoning. The 3 opportunities will include the following. If you are interested with one or more of these opportunities, please indicate it as such on an application. The deadline for the application for these opportunities will be July 19th, 2019. First of all, with regret, we are seeking a qualified and interested applicants for the position of village trustee. Unfortunately, Ryan Kwasniewski, due to significant business and career responsibilities as well as great opportunities, Ryan, we wish you nothing but the best. This is not your goodbye meeting. But Ryan has submitted his resignation. It's effective August 12th, 2019. The remainder of his 4-year term ends April 2021. The Village of Lamont encourages civic-minded residents who wish to make a contribution to the betterment of the community to submit an application for appointment to the Village Board of Trustees. To the Village Board, I should say. You can view the full position posting on our website at lamont.il.us, then select Village Hall, and then Employment Opportunities from the drop-down menu. Please fill out an application form for this trustee open position. And again, Ryan, again, this is not your goodbye, but we wish you nothing but the best. And I know we will have, and I've already gotten extreme interest in this position, so obviously a very important position. Also, another opportunity for our Planning and Zoning Commission. Again, the Village of Lamont is seeking interested and committed residents to serve in our Advisory Planning and Zoning Commission. Members of the Planning and Zoning Commission are appointed by myself, the mayor, as well with advice and consent of the Village Board. The commission meets the first Wednesday of each month with other special meetings as deemed necessary. In consideration of the mayor and the village board's vision for development, the comprehensive plan and unified development ordinance, which we refer to as our UDO, the commission is asked to provide input and recommendations on development plans and requests that come through the development process. All plan unit developments, zoning changes, code amendments, variation requests, plat of subdivision review, and other entitlement requests are reviewed by the Advisory Planning and Zoning Commission prior to the village board's review. So obviously this commission is advisory. We rely on their input. It's a very important advisory commission because obviously all of our building runs through this process. If you are interested, please fill out an application form on the village's website. And if you have previously applied, please fill out the form again so we have an updated application. I know we had great interest on this. We have 6 members as well as a leader of this for a total of 7. We had this process 2 years ago when the prior board was elected. We got great, incredible interest, great applicants, some which unfortunately we cannot take. But again, we encourage everyone, if you are interested, to please fill out an application. Also, in response to our development downtown, as many of you well know, Elsie's Peterson, that piece of property was sold to a developer, Rob Abiante. He's being assisted by Sal Alfano. You may know either one of those or both. They've purchased that property, and Elsie has been having a going out of business. I believe that's ending here in short term, so I encourage everyone to get out there. I don't know where I'm going to get my screen door fixed anymore, but again, Elsie, we're going to miss her in her business in town. But this development that's going to go in, we recognize it. It's very important. This is going to be, as it stands right now, it's going to be a 70 to 80 unit high-end luxury apartment building, an investment upwards of 26 to 27 million dollars. So this is going to be a first-class development. I know when people hear of these projects, the next day all I hear is how it's going to be a not very good project, and that's not the case. I mean, this is high-end luxury apartments. We want, obviously, just like everyone else in this town, high quality, something that fits in our quaint town, something that fits in our downtown, something that is right as far as size, something that is right as far as density. And this is something that everyone on this board, we have to think about, and we hear it loud and clear. It has to fit the skyline. These are variables that we all take into account, and then throw on top of it that site is a very difficult site. There's actually a major storm sewer system, right, Ralph, that's running right down the heart of that property that cannot be built on. So we've had a lot of obstacles and a lot of variables to deal with. So this site, I think we're on our 7th developer right now. Rob and them stepped up. We're very excited. They're actually right now developing the St. Matthew, the old school, right next to St. Patrick's Church. If you see that, it looks like they're tearing it down. They're not tearing it down. Rob and his group wanted to save that church. And with the help of the, Historical Commission, they worked with them, and I walked in there, it's just beautiful. They're preserving all the stone. There's going to be, I think, about 12 apartments in there, 11 to 14-foot high ceilings. It's just a beautiful first-class development, and that's what, Rob is promising and his group to do with the luxury apartment complex as well. So I say that just because I want everyone to be reminded that, we're very excited, but, this is going to be a major improvement and a major change for the downtown area, and we're looking for input on that. So with that being said, those residents that are interested to serve on our new downtown redevelopment, we're calling it a stakeholder group. You could almost think of it as a focus group here in the short term, because we have a lot of cool things going on downtown. They're going to be potentially putting in a small park, a bench area. We need to understand what people want, and what can work in there. And we have to work with that developer as well. So again, this is a new focus group being created for the residents to get involved in the downtown revitalization efforts that have been ongoing in the village over the last couple of years. The newly formed group will be given updates on several initiatives underway in the downtown, and will be asked to provide input for future initiatives and phases of the downtown revitalization. Frequency of meetings and meeting dates are still to be determined, but we expect approximately one night per month to be devoted to this group. More information on the structure and the initiatives of the group will be developed over the coming months. If you are interested in this exciting commission, please fill out a commission application form on the village's website under Village Hall, and then it will be under the employment opportunity. So again, we encourage participation in this. Lastly, as I mentioned, the Mayor's Drive. Each year, I think we hit our 20th anniversary. I think Ryan's dad, Mayor Rick Kwasniewski, started the Mayor's Drive 20 years ago. The Mayor's Drive is all about charity. It's all about people giving back, and more importantly, it's about giving back. And all the money stays right here in Lamont. There's no money made on this event that does not go back to charities. In fact, I think we have close to, 20 to 25 charities, which we will be calling up shortly. But again, I personally want to thank everyone. This is, to me, it's not the mayor's charity, it's our town, it's our Lamont charity drive. And again, we raised over $32,000 for the drive. And obviously the checks will be distributed tonight. I will hand those out shortly. We want to thank all of our volunteers. Would not be possible without them. More importantly, our sponsors and our vendors. And equally more important, our staff. I want to thank Linda Molitor specifically. Linda, I know you and your staff this fall, lands on specifically. So again, I want to thank all your help that you do to make this happen. We have great support from all of our generous donors, golfers, volunteers. So again, I want to thank all of you. It takes a lot of volunteers to help on this day to run this event, and a number of them help from the various charity organizations that are going to receive the funds. So again, I want to thank all of you. Much thanks goes to all the volunteers that helped on this day and outing. And to all the organizations that receive funds from the Mayor's Drive for Charity, and on behalf of the entire village board and the village of Lamont, we thank each and every one of you who volunteer your time and effort to those in need in our community. So what we're going to do is we're going to hand out the checks, and if you could just please come up, we will distribute them accordingly. Got a lot of money here. All right. Okay, first up, the Bethany Lutheran Church. Cub Scout Pack 249. We have the Hope and Friendship Foundation. The Hope and Friendship Foundation, as well as the Lamont Township Summer Lunch Voucher Fund, as well as the Lamont Township Medical Reserve Corps. So Terry, thank you. Thanks. Next up, we have the Lamont Area Historical Society. We have the Lamont Band Boosters Association. The Lamont Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association. The Lamont High School Band Parents Association. The Lamont Honor 22 VFW Post 5819. We actually have two. We have the Lamont Juniorettes. All right. All right, we have the Lamont Lions Club. All right, next up, we have the Lamont Police Benevolent Association. Chief, you gonna take that? Okay, we have the Lamont Township Family Assistance Fund, the Lamont Township Seniors Association. Next up, Little Mountain Community Theater. Okay, next up, the Rotary Club of Lamont and Homer Glen. And next up, School District 113A Educational Foundation. All right, and lastly, we have the Seniors in Law Enforcement, the SALT Group, Seniors in Law Enforcement together. Again, you give everyone a hand here. No, we want to thank, again, all our charities in town. They do a great job. And, you know, Lamont, it is who we are. We give back. And, again, we appreciate all our volunteers and charities and everyone that participated in the event. All right. With that being said, next up on our agenda is the audience participation. If you'd like to speak, please feel free to come up to the mic at this time. Anyone in the audience? You know what, Tracy, what we're trying to do right now is we don't know yet, but I would think it would be, you know, if we have that much interest, we can expand it. It's not a set commission. You know, I would think we would try and want at least, you know, maybe get 6 plus a leader of that group. But we encourage everyone to come out, and I think that's one of the things we'll work with. You know, this is just not a focus group for the developer. Obviously, the developer is going to, you know, be making a specific investment in our town. But that is, you know, very similar. You know, we had the same type of commission that we did for the Heritage Quarry Commission. We formalized that 2 years ago because we have a significant investment coming in town with the Forge, but that's not the only reason why we have that group. We have obviously other recreational needs, and you know, the people on that commission do a great job. We formalize that. Dave heads that group, and again, it gives us, as a board, again, it's an advisory commission that helps us out and make decisions. And I think we're gonna have that same, you know, with this big investment coming in town, we're gonna need that same type of focus and formalization to the group. And again, I don't wanna make a formalized group just to make it formalized. I wanna make sure we're getting input. So I don't think it's really been
And
defined.
I think what we talked about, starting off is more of an ad hoc committee, kind of, talk about the development at the L.C. Peterson's property, but also talk about potential, the next blocks of development and, other investments that could be made in the downtown. How do we get our partners involved? It may end up turning into a different committee, but I think we just want to get some input and, again, keep it a little bit more, broad and general to start,
Yeah.
and then we'll work our way into it, see when people can meet. And, so I think 7 to 10 members, it's not gonna, doesn't have to be an official committee to start off, but let's see where we, you know, one thing meeting with the developer, he's asking us, what is our vision for the town? Because he wants to continue to invest money in the town, which is good. He wants to purchase other blocks, and potentially that's phase 2 and 3 and 4. We don't want it to be just the board's vision, and we want the community to weigh in on what are the next steps even after the Peterson property develops. So that's kind of where we are, just asking for, about 10 years ago, they did something similar, a little bit more of a, it won't be to that extent, but with the Marquette development downtown, the Front Street Lofts, maybe just update where we are with that plan and then kind of start anew going forward, but kind of work our way, kind of understand it with the community involved, and then move it forward to potentially some other opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've had 7 developers look at this site. Each one had a different vision for it, and that vision is going to continue to be refined with the input of residents is what we're looking for. So again, very exciting, and we appreciate the people that are investing downtown. That's obviously not the only thing going on. You know, we have potential, the Tri-Central property to the north for recreation opportunities. We have a lot of businesses, new you know, developments that are happening in the downtown at a much smaller scale. But again, you know, we're looking for people to step up. And even if if you can't make every meeting, please come out and share your input. So, so stay tuned, I guess, Tracy.
I should make note, and Linda texted me real quick, all those applications will be on the website tomorrow. We just wanted to use this opportunity on camera to get that information out. It's gonna go out in the newsletter. Everyone should be getting a newsletter here on, probably around July 1st. It'll hit everyone's, home, so it's in there. We put out a civic send as well, but just, if you can wait till tomorrow to apply, you'll help us out, because it'll be on the website tomorrow. Thank you.
Any other? Yeah.
My question is more about business concern. I own a business here in Lamont. I'm not sure if you, Allure Skin Studio is my business. And for 4 years, almost 5, I've been there. And we've been dealing with not a really good landlord. As you can tell, the house is falling apart. And I'm very concerned about my clients. My business is very, very busy. I do great business. I'm booked 24, like almost every day. So I'm thinking about moving to a different location, which is 310 Illinois Street, almost around the corner. My concern is no parking. And I'm wondering if anybody can help me here to maybe do signs in the front, because I don't know. I don't want to move my business out of Lamont. So I wanted to keep the business here. I have great business. That's my concern today.
No, again, I don't think we can hear this. This will be televised later on. But the question was, in so many words, hey, she has a business and she's concerned about parking in town, and also concerned about, you know, the upkeep of her landlord's place. And that's, you know, the best thing that has happened, I think, over the last 2 years is we're lacking parking, okay? That's the first good sign, right? That means people are starting to come downtown. You know, and we've recognized that, and we've talked about that. We've tried addressing it. In fact, I always share this story. I went to a meeting about 18 months ago with 70 residents, and I asked, who knows there's a parking garage downtown? And literally, no one knew it. And that's shame on us for not being able to, you know, share that. But again, there probably was not a need for it, you know, and they're starting to become a need. So we're recognizing that. We always kid around and say, hey, if in Chicago you could park within 6 blocks of where you want to go, that's considered a good parking spot. If you're not parking within 6 parking spaces of where you want to go in downtown, that is a terrible parking, you know, so it's all perception as well. So, you know, we've recognized that. Some of the things we have done is we've tried adding, you know, signage to point people to where parking is. We've done that. Ralph and his group did that, over about 6, you know, over the last half year here. Again, we're still looking for input on that because we do have several parking lots in the downtown that people do not know about. That is owned by, you know, a lot of people, you know, Telcott, they think that is not owned by the village. The parking spot off of on the other side of Telcott, on the south side, is owned by the village. We have 240 parking spots in the garage. Granted, that's on the north side of town. You know, so we have parking spot right there by the vault. You know, we do have parking there. I'm not going to argue with anyone that we need more parking, and that's why, you know, we are addressing that. We have a lot that we've obtained through a donation just on the south side of Main Street by Stevens Street, just on the, what would that be, the southwest corner, by the bank there. That's another potential parking lot that we're putting in. But the problem is we got to go through the bank to get this, and this is, you know, probably a year away. So again, we recognize that. We recognize parking. And that's one of the things we're addressing. Now, as far as the upkeep of tenants, one of the best things we saw last year is we started seeing people painting and putting investment into the buildings downtown, okay? We're starting to see a lot of empty buildings all of a sudden become, you know, basically redone, turned into establishments. We continue to see that. But we do have tenants and owners that we need to make improvements there. In fact, as a board, one of the initiatives we had is, we had a homework assignment 5 months ago. Give us all the pictures in town of what you don't like, you know, and it's amazing all the stuff that popped up downtown. So we're looking at this. You know, as a board, 2 years ago, we couldn't be the big bad guy that came down hard on these businesses because we really did not have a lot in town, okay? But as the water and the tide of quality rises, everyone around them should rise as well, and that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to address it, not through, you know, harsh and punishment and Big Brother coming down on these businesses, but working with them. We now have an individual that can go out to each of these, some of the you know, if you want to call them problem childs or whatever, but, you know, a lot of these owners might not have the money, so we have to be able to work with them and work around their issue or potentially assist them in selling their business. So I don't think there's a lot of flat out, hey, I'm not going to make improvements just because I don't want to make improvements. A lot of times it's just people, they don't have the money. So if you don't have the money and you got to make that improvement, you got to potentially, we could help you sell the place if that's what you wish to do. So again, we're recognizing that. I don't know if there's anything much more to talk about the.
You know, on the property maintenance side, we've moved some resources around. There's a dedicated individual in the police department now that's going to work with businesses on property maintenance from a little bit of a law enforcement side. We have there's a vacant building on Illinois Street on the north side, almost until you get to the corner, that we're working with from a public safety standpoint of you know, potentially trying to curb any type of activity of getting inside that building. Looking at it, just bring it from a different perspective, not just how it looks, but also the functionality of these buildings and the potential safety issues. So we just met last Monday, had a good workshop. I think it's going to take a lot of follow-up from staff. I know, Chief, you're already working with Tony Camardo, retired police officer, and talking to these businesses, what's the plan? So I think again, the mayor mentioned, it's a little bit of a balancing act on how hard, how quick you come down on some of the property owners who may not have the means, but how do we work together to kind of move these projects forward? And I think you start to see little successes build on one another. You start seeing some of these complexes, businesses put in new landscaping. I think it all works over time. We just have to move it along, move the needle a little bit, and we'll work with staff on doing that. On the parking, real quick, we do want to tackle it, on a little bit more of a comprehensive standpoint of looking at the entire downtown. And we were fortunate enough to receive a grant from the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, CMAP, local technical assistance grant to really inventory the downtown parking and civic space to get some outside help on recommendations of where we're deficient, how restrictions should be put into place. It's always a tough one on parking because the business owners feel one way. They have their employees who want to park nearby. We're always trying to push them to the regional lots. But I think what we're trying to do is look at it more comprehensively, look at it more from a technical standpoint, take some of the emotions out of it. We've received that request from a number of businesses. They want a 15-minute spot right in front of their business. If we do that everywhere, we're going to run into some issues. But I think we can designate through a process certain areas of town, certain streets where you have a couple 15-minute parking spots. On Front Street, the new convenience store, they asked for it. I think it makes sense. We just have to do it strategically and comprehensively, not just put them up everywhere. So I think we're committed to putting in some of those spots. We just want to look at it from more of a comprehensive standpoint.
Mountains, the big small business, they have one that just says in our parking, and it is something that I'm looking,
Okay.
Yeah,
like in our parking.
sure.
9 mistakes,
Yeah.
And every business has that same request, and that's why the downtown, what we set up was the Downtown Merchant Alliance. I encourage you to join that meeting. I go to it, every Monday, first Monday of every month. It started out with, I think, attendance of like 6 or 7 people. We've been having it for the last 2 years, and I think, Ken joins as well. There was 35 people there the last meeting. So every business kind of, we got to do it as a group, and I rely on this DMA. We cannot listen to, there's actually over 100 business owners downtown. And this is just the downtown area. We can't listen to 100 different voices. We have to do this as a group, and that's what we rely on the DMA for. And that's where a lot of the decisions are made. And that's where I look for them. I said, hey, if you guys want to police yourself and give out fines for people not cleaning up, we'll do that. But the businesses have to be on board with it. And they are. They really are. This DMA group, I applaud them. But again, I encourage that as well, because these are the issues we talk about: speeding through the downtown, traffic, the upkeep of buildings, snow removal. All this is reviewed in detail at the DMA meeting. So again, I encourage you to please join them. Okay. Anyone else for audience participation? All right. With that being said, we move on to the clerk's report. Charlene.
Thank you. The first resolution, if passed this evening, would be R-59-19, and this is approving an agreement with Granicus.
Okay. Need a motion, please.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Maher, seconded by trustee McClafferty. George.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an agreement for website design services and agenda management hosting services through Granicus. The village is always looking for new ways to interact with our residents, communicate with our residents, engage residents. We understand that not everyone can attend a board meeting or even watch the meeting on TV, so just different ways we've invested to get some input and communicate. Over the last year or so, we've implemented a new online polling system. We're going to do a little bit more with it in the coming year, not just general questions, more Lamont-specific questions. We've implemented some transparency dashboards on our webpage. So always looking for new ways to ensure we're operating transparently with our public and communicating. About a year ago, maybe we started to look at the website and how we can improve our website and also our agenda management services. And there's a company, Granicus is one of the leading one of the leaders in the industry for government websites that offer both products that were attractive to look at one time. First, I'll start with the agenda management system. I think we've been, over the years, we've been in compliant with Open Meeting Act. We've published all of our packets online. I think we're one of the only, I think us and the fire district are the districts that televise our meetings. So we've done a lot of good, transparent, initiatives over the last couple of years. But I think we're seeing some deficiencies on that program, on being able to access the program that, or the agenda item that a resident is interested with. There's large files, so there's just different ways we can kind of move the needle on getting people to access what they need to at our board meetings. So that's one side of the suite we're going to be investing in is, if approved today, is an agenda management software, which will also include an easier way to view our meetings by item, so you won't have to watch an entire 2-hour meeting to get to the item that you want. You'll be able to find it by item on the agenda, and everything will be archived, and I think it'll be an overall better product for the residents, but also the board, and also for staff. It'll help us out with some efficiency measures. The website, we've there's a couple large players in the industry. Our current provider, Civic Plus, and then Granicus has a site too. They've kind of cornered the market on local government sites. Generally, we do a lot of the same things. We have a notify feature. We have obviously the website. There's a request tracker feature. So there's 2 or 3 of these players in the industry that provide all the different modules that we need to interact with our community. I think in working with staff and a couple members of the board, I know Trustee Kwasniewski and Maher have helped out with a couple evaluation webinars with a couple different companies. It's probably time to move to a new company. There's going to be a significant investment going into our site regardless for ADA accessibility. We've had some struggles with how we'd like to see the site laid out, and I think that the new site will allow us to do that. I think from a financial standpoint, both products, currently we only have website, both products will be less than what we're paying now on a maintenance charge. So there is a one-time charge of $21,000. I think the exact amount, $21,925 for the website and the agenda management. But going forward, the maintenance will be less than what we're paying currently. And there's other costs that have to go into our existing site now in order to be fully compliant with different laws and regulations that I think it makes sense to invest in a new product. So just wanted to present that to the board today. If approved, we'll get on their schedule for implementation. I think that Granicus on the website side, they do things a little bit differently. It might take a little bit longer. It might be 6 months for a full implementation, but they do more of a consumer-focused kind of, government's a little different. They're going to, we'll use some of our polling features, but what is the site being used for now? How is the resident experiencing our site currently? How can we make improvements? A little bit more of an evaluation on the front end. So the site will take about 6 months to get up and running, but the agenda software should be up within 2 months when staff gets trained. So I'll kind of leave it up for any questions that we might have from the board. But no, this is a good product. I think we're looking forward to implementing it any way we can improve our interaction with our resident.
Thanks, George. Any other questions or
I have
comments?
a question. Just trying to understand the numbers here. So is the first year 32,000?
No, the first year it will be, we do not get charged for the website for the first year.
10,252 for
20
year
yep.
one. Does that mean
Correct.
it's 32,000? Or does that mean
It-
it's,
It is.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it is 32,000 for the first year because the
So
what
you
we're-
buy the package for 21,000 in year one, costs you 10 grand.
basically when the agenda center gets up and running, that's a maintenance charge.
I understand what it says. I'm trying to understand what it means.
Correct. Yeah.
So you pay 21,000 as a flat rate, and then the first year you pay $10,000. So,
Correct.
okay, and you just said it's gonna take about 6 months to be up and running. So is that the difference between year one and year two?
Yeah, on the website, the maintenance on the website is only the 5,000. So that does not get charged till year 2.
Okay.
Right. The agenda side gets charged when that's implemented in 2 months.
Okay.
But the website, you get a year free on
And
maintenance.
overall, including the 21, we're within budget and it's less than what we're currently
Correct.
paying, realizing that we also need to add features to our current
Correct.
system that we don't have that we need.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Thanks, George. All right, roll call, please.
Stokowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
The next resolution, if passed this evening, would be R-60-19, and this is authorizing a settlement agreement and release. It's concerning the RTA versus the city of Kankakee.
Okay, need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee McClafferty, seconded by trustee Snagowski. George?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a bit of a cleanup item, but I'll go through it briefly. Several years ago, I think in 2016 or 15, the village, along with several other municipalities, including County of Cook, the Regional Transit Authority, filed suit against Kankakee and the city of Shanahan for lost sales tax revenues that would have otherwise been distributed to the entities filing suit. Essentially, there was some sourcing of where the sales were being made in Shanahan and Kankakee for about 9 different communities, including Cook County and the RTA. That issue since has been resolved, but us, along with these entities, filed suit against those 2 communities. Again, we were a very small player, and we had basically the communities shared an attorney to reduce cost of litigating this case. There was another settlement that was approved by this board in 2016 for about $7,500. This settlement is similar. So overall, the village will receive a check for $15,000 over these 2 settlements. This should be it now. Our previous attorney kind of handled the litigation along with the other entities and recommended the settlement, and then we ran it by our new attorney, Olson and Stirk. They recommended the settlement as well. So just kind of, this should clean up that whole litigation. But good news is we will receive some funding, albeit a small amount.
Okay, thanks, George. Any questions, comments?
I have a question. This money's coming from the 2 communities, from Kankakee and Shanahan?
Correct.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Okay, roll call.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher? McClafferty?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
The next item, if passed this evening, would be Resolution R-61-19, and this is authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with Lamont Township for maintenance and police services on the Heritage Quarry recreational area.
Okay, need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Maher, seconded by trustee Kittredge. George, are you taking this
Yeah,
as well?
thank you, Mr. Mayor. At our last village board meeting, the village board approved a license agreement and related zoning entitlements for the Forge at Lamont Quarries Outdoor Recreation Park. Basically, this is the other part of that agreement that we didn't have enough information at the time of approval, but we said we'd bring here tonight. Basically, the Forge will be utilizing village-owned property, the Canal Reserve Strip, for their operations, more passive operations. They're going to be using township property, which is a little bit more of the zip lining and some other activities for their operations. They're also going to be utilizing their own property. Basically, this agreement ties us and the township together. Basically, back in, I think, 2008, 2009, the village board approved an agreement with Lamont Township regarding the entire Quarry Park area. The township purchased property in the Quarry Park area. The village had property, and we were maintaining. And basically, at that point, the sides agreed where the village would take over liability, police services for the entire area. The township doesn't have a police department, and at that time and still going forward, our public works department was maintaining the quarry area. This is an opportunity to kind of solidify that agreement going forward. In the agreement, there's still sections where we can assign out that maintenance responsibility and liability, which we've done through the Forge agreement. So 3 different agreements. The township has one with the Forge, we have one with the Forge, and then the village has one with the township that ties it all together. Couple things to note. I know we talked about it at our committee of the whole about the parking facility. Again, it's in the agreement where the village will construct the parking facility, and we reserve the right, which we will, to receive reimbursement through another agreement with the Forge, which we've done in the license agreement. And then in the agreement, there's also provision where the village and the township, while the parking facility will be on township property. You know, we could share in any type of parking revenues that there's going to be, and utilize that money for quarry projects related to the downtown, in conjunction with the township and the village. We have a pretty good relationship on both sides. The township approved their agreements. Everyone's on board for seeing this project succeed, and this agreement just kind of puts it all together with township and the village, how we can share parking, how we can share revenues, and the village will be picking up, again, liability responsibilities on the entire property. We've had our risk management agency, IRMA, review it, make recommendations. The township has their side of the equation on risk management. So we've checked all the boxes on ensuring everyone approves the agreement going forward, but this is the agreement that could be, again, changed, updated, amended at any time, but this just solidifies our relationship with the township going forward.
Thanks, George. Any other?
One question,
Yeah.
Rick?
only because you used the word so many times, liability. In general, do we have a hold harmless agreement?
With, the majority of it is with the Forge.
I understand
yes.
it's with the Forge.
Yep.
Right. So when you talk about zip lines being on our property, that we're held harmless for the liability of that? I'm assuming that's
Correct.
how our attorneys are looking at everything?
Correct, attorneys and insurance carriers.
And again, with IRMA being involved, I mean, they have limits, so what if something were going beyond limits? Are we held beyond those limits some other way, by hold harmless or by another carrier? So those are things I think we need to just keep focusing on as these things change, so we
Okay.
don't get caught, oh geez, we're covered for $1 million, it's $1.5 million, and now we gotta find $5 million. Those types of things. I'm assuming we're covering that with hold harmless or some additional liability insurance
Yeah, and I think-
outside of IRMA.
And I think where we have that in the license agreements, there's language where the Forge holds us harmless, but definitely before they begin any types of operation, we need to get those documents and.
That's
and
kind of
they're
what I'm
still- yep,
getting at.
correct.
And we don't want to get caught where we talked about it, but it didn't get, the T wasn't crossed and the I wasn't dotted, even though that was our intent. And
Okay,
I just think we need to be sure we have it.
okay, very good.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, roll call, please.
Snagowski,
Yes.
Stapleton,
Yes.
Kittredge.
Here. Oh,
Quest-
yes, sorry.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Oh, what?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher, McClafferty.
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Charlene. Okay. Next up, Village Attorney Report. Anything? Okay, all right. George, Administrator Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple quick items. Just wanted to make note again that the summer-fall newsletter will be going out. It'll probably hit homes first week in July. We intend it for July 1st, enough time for all the information on the events in the summertime. Again, a lot of good information in here on new businesses and, updates on Pete's Market. You have Rosebud, they received their permit. They're working inside their facility now. That's been going well. A lot of good things happening, and it just kind of summarizes all the new businesses and all the different updates. There's also again, all the information on the volunteer opportunities that we went through tonight is in the newsletter. One thing I wanted to address as well, it's been out on our notification features. It's in the newsletter, and I'll just bring it up here again. Vehicle stickers will be due on August 1st. I know there's a little bit of confusion on whether or not they're due or who they're required for. Anyone who owns a home or anyone who owns a vehicle that's registered to a property in the village of Lamont is required to have a sticker beginning August 1st. We've moved to an annual program with new software we procured. Again, the new software is designed to kind of reduce its impact on staff, but also make it easier for the resident. You're able to pay online. We did have a little bit of a glitch on our system when the letters went out. Basically, the system captures a list from the Secretary of State, and they match it up to zip code. And we've scrubbed that list to ensure that only village vehicles appear on the list. There was an error on the system side where residents in the unincorporated areas received a notice. And again, you can call, we're working on that glitch, but you can call the finance department and we'll work with you on getting that removed. They've committed to reimbursing us all of our postage for those letters that went out. So that was a good first step. About 1,300 went out. again, we received a lot of calls last week in the finance department. If you received one and you don't live within the village limits, please call the finance department, or you could just disregard. Your car will eventually be removed from the system, but feel free to give us a call if you need that extra assurance. We hope that doesn't happen again, but thanks, Chris, for working with the vendor and getting reimbursement on that. So besides a very busy day, for the finance department, the village will not be out of pocket for that glitch. The other thing, I know we talked a little bit about, again, there were two referendums that happened back-to-back in November 2018, April of 2019. So as things move pretty quickly, people can get confused on the various referendum topics. Again, you had the home rule referendum, which would have included the 1% sales tax, also would have included significant other increases to users. You had truck parking, natural gas use tax, additional gaming fees. There were a whole lot of revenues that were included with home rule that when home rule failed, and you understand there are a lot of different implications with home rule, with authority. So the home rule did fail, and we moved to the next step, the non-home rule sales tax, which there's no additional authority, no additional fee. The only increase that's going to take effect July 1st is the sales tax. And again, that still produced a budget gap, and we talked about it during the referendum, but again, things can be confused over a short period of time. So a sticker is still required. Again, the sticker revenue we've utilized for our equipment, new police vehicles, public works vehicles. The equipment we need and use to provide our services, we've used that revenue for. Again, the 1% does not cover everything we need. So we'll evaluate it as we go year to year through the budget process. If we receive a significantly large chunk of revenue from the sales tax or capital bill, we can look at bringing that down or eliminating in the future. Again, it'll be a year-to-year evaluation. Now we have the system, we're able to do that. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. I don't know if you have any other comments.
Yeah, and no, it's very important. So as these referendums, we had two referendums. We had a referendum in November of 2018. That was our home rule referendum. In round numbers, Chris, correct me where I'm wrong here, home rule would have allowed us to charge 1% for the sales tax is what we were saying we would do with home rule. In addition, we were going to eliminate the vehicle sticker, but we're going to be able to eliminate it because we were then under home rule going to be able to charge for truck parking as well as, fuel tax and other user fees. That would have been, call it whatever it is, well over $500,000 in fees. And we cannot do that because home rule failed. We heard it loud and clear. So we're not able to charge those other user fees. So that's when we went to a second referendum in April of this year. That was just for a 1% sales tax increase. Obviously, because we do not have the ability without home rule to charge for that truck parking and those other user fees, we have to keep and maintain the vehicle sticker. We mentioned that going in. That's why I just want to, clarify that confusion because some of these referendums can run together. And again, so any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out. Again, as George mentioned, we will review this on an annual basis. But as of right now, again, we are behind on our infrastructure improvements. We need to be able to make those investments going forward. But again, just want to clarify that confusion. Any other comments? I know there's quite a bit, I believe, out on social media about this. Anyone else have any other comments on it? Okay, but again, thanks, George. Next up, any board reports? Anyone have anything? Any staff reports? Ralph, Chief. Ralph, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if this works. Are we being recorded? Is it on?
It'll be replayed,
Okay.
yeah. They were having some issues with playback,
Okay,
so a live feed. Yeah.
Okay, so just a quick project update from Public Works. There's 3 reasons why our projects are launching later this year. The 3 reasons are the election, obviously, IDOT, because of the election, and weather. The weather has been, the rain has held back the contractors. They're trying to push through jobs, and our water main contractor that we've hired to do our projects, Conley Excavating, He's working in Tinley Park and Lockport right now. So I anticipate him coming to Lamont by the end of July to knock those projects out. And our road resurfacing has to wait until after those are done so we could surface the streets after the water mains are put in. So I'm anticipating the road resurfacing to start late August, September this year.
And Ralph, when was that originally scheduled? I mean, when would
Well,
we
normally we
hope
can get
for?
it out to bid earlier. But with the uncertainty with our budget and the election and the referendum, we could not.
Got it,
Because we didn't know where we were going. So it's a little bit later.
got it.
So the downtown parking lot ceiling should start at the end of July. And more information on that after I have the pre-construction meeting. And the IDOT project down at 83 and 171, I can't see that ending before October. It's, they have lane closures right now that are gonna be in 3-week intervals. So, they've got 3 phases of that, so it's gonna be continuously throughout the summer. So, that's all I have.
Thanks, Ralph.
Just a quick update. I know, I think we brought it up last meeting, but McCarthy Road, that'll be spring of 2020,
Yeah, it's
correct?
in the design
Yeah.
phase now, and, construction next year of 20.
Yeah, so we think early on in 2020, and that'll include a little bit of a pavement widening with bike lanes. So that's got held up at IDOT again this year, but we think 2020.
The IDOT issue, you know, IDOT got turned over, you know, with the election, there's a lot of changes.
The other quick update, Village received a grant from the state under Senator Curran's leadership to a small project, but we're definitely grateful for it. As Stevens Street will be redone. We're probably going to wait till the end of the event series. It'll probably be September, October. So Stevens Street from Illinois Street north to River Road will be resurfaced, and new ADA ramps, new striping, which will be really nice. Then in the spring, McCarthy Road will get done all the way to Illinois Street. It should be a nice stretch of roadway, but we'll get the word out. We're working on timing. The grant requirements to even receive the $100,000 grant, how many hoops you have to jump through. But it'll probably be an end of the year project, end of the season project, again with Heritage Fest, our other event series. I think it'd be good to do it right before the winter.
Yep. And again, want to thank Senator Kern for that. These types of monies are far and few between, but we want to thank him for that grant. But a question I have, Ralph, and maybe Rick, you could help out on this because I know you, this is your background. With the passage of the capital bill at the state level, all of a sudden there are monies out there, and I mean just in general through every municipality, as far as potential bids coming up. I mean, to me, I just think, just like any time there's a capital bill passed, which doesn't happen very often, all of a sudden there are a lot of capital projects in demand. I mean, how will that impact our bidding potentially and or timing? Obviously, I'm hearing what you're saying as far as timing this time around. Obviously, I would assume mainly it's more weather than it is lack of vendors or.
The weather's pushed everything, but I think, Chris, you calculated the amount of money we're gonna be getting from MFT? Is that what you're referring to?
No, I'm just saying in general, how will the capital project impact, meaning, to me, I would think getting our bids out as early as possible or getting our projects out to bid as early as possible. So it's not, to me, I feel like there are gonna be a lot of municipalities potentially bidding or
Definitely helps
using.
when it's earlier. Definitely helps. I mean, but again, this year, we were uncertain on our own budget.
Sure,
So
yeah,
that's
no,
why-
absolutely.
You're right. I think with all the communities vying for putting a lot of projects out at one time, yeah, we can do a resolution even before the budget process, get them out even February, March. So we'll
Try and get
target
it
that
out.
deadline.
Yeah, I just want to try.
Well, in general, the capital bill hasn't been signed. They expect to be signed by July 1st, which is when the gas tax will go into effect. July 1st is also the beginning of the fiscal year for IDOT. So really, nothing is happening in this fiscal year. It'll be next fiscal year.
Next.
So I think, Ralph, if I had the numbers right, if I remember, it was 40% they were looking at potential increase on the MFT side.
Yeah.
But again, they still have, they were trying, and I think we heard it on the federal level too, from Representative Pinsky on bringing back earmark projects, which from his standpoint and from ours would be a good thing, because it does give area leadership the ability then to work with locals to get things done that you want to have done.
I think John's point is with demand.
Yeah,
with-
getting the
Oh, if you're
projects
talking
to
about
bid.
The
Well,
price-
the
the price of-
pricing, it'll just depend. It'll depend on the scheduling of putting the bids out. Obviously, if there's more demand, prices are gonna go up. We see that now. You can get that in the, if you look at the IDOT website, you'll see there, because they'll tell whether they're in the awardable range or not. There's been a number of jobs, even though they have 5 or 6 bidders, they're still over budget. And that's just, well, Kane Carr will disagree with me, but the engineers gotta up their estimates now. Historically, it's always based on trailing numbers. So they never catch up quick enough. And that's what needs to happen.
Gotcha, yeah. One of my points was getting them out the bid as soon as possible. I want to, if possible, as far as budgeting, so that, I think you mentioned before, Ralph, the earlier you get them out the bid, potentially the better
Potentially.
price.
Yeah, there's so many different factors.
Yeah,
You know,
got it.
Historically, if we get them out early, they come in better priced.
Got it.
It also
got
gives you time, if we did really well, to potentially add roads to the program.
Yes.
There's two good times. Either get them out early or get them out late without the expectation that you want them done that season. Because then guys like to bid work at the end of the year knowing they have that work available to them in the spring. So you'll get good prices at the end of the year also for spring startup. If you expect to get them done and you don't word the bid properly, then it's like you're expediting the job to get it done before the snow flies. It'll cost you more.
Gotcha,
So you gotta
gotcha.
be careful how you.
So
how
we'll
you
keep
word it.
that in mind, potentially putting projects out to bid at the end of the season.
Right.
So, all right, thanks, Rick. All right, any new or unfinished business? Oh, Chief, I'm sorry, sorry, Chief. Let's,
I'll be real quick. I just give my annual precautionary appeal since 4th of July is coming up next week. You know, the National Fire Prevention Association collects stats on all the injuries and fires that occur every year. And I went back and was looking at the last few years as I've been giving these stats, and it amazed me that these numbers are ticking up about 5% a year. Just in the 5 years I've been here, I was kind of amazed, but there was over 19,000 fires last year, and 12,900 emergency room visits just from fireworks, and that was 1,000 more than 2017. So just a reminder to the folks, it's unlawful to discharge or set off any fireworks or pyrotechnics under village ordinance without a permit, and there's only one permitted use that I'm aware of next week, and that's from the Park District. So please be safe, and go to there's a lot of shows around. Go to a show. Don't set them off in your driveways or alleys.
thanks, Chief. And again, we wish everyone a very happy and safe 4th of July. Any new unfinished business? Okay, no executive session, correct? Nope. All right, so with that being said, looking for a motion to adjourn. All right, we have a motion by trustee Maher, seconded by trustee Snagowski. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. We are adjourned. Thank you.